Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Southern Iowa and the grain bin building video brought to you by GSI. So we'll be taking us through the construction, or the actual build of the grain bin from the roof, which they're working on now. The crew's been here. We caught an inch of rain last night, so it is an absolute sloppy mess. We just had a trailer show up with the last bit of stuff. Buckle in, let's build the grain bin. So the first thing they've been doing is putting together all of the roof assembly. So those are all the vents. There's the stair, there's the cap, and then they've got their tower set up here, and they'll be putting the roof together. It's been kind of slow because you have to watch every single step here because she's a slick mess. First ring, then the roof goes on, but they've got everything laid out here. The rings, the roof's actually over there. When you were a kid and you played with those connects, it's basically a big erector set. These are all the roof panels. Actually, if you want to see how some of this stuff is actually made, I did tour the plant in Assumption a couple of years ago, and that video link is up there. So this is, I believe, what holds down the roof. These fills the gap in between the little triangles on the roof, which you guys will see. The ring is up on top of the tower. The jacks are in position, and the first run of stiffeners are put on as well. I think they're ready for a roof. So we're separating the bin sheets. It'll be like that bin right there. This one doesn't have nearly as many vents as the newer ones do. We ended up just going around the bin with the skid steer here, but I was wrong. So I thought it was every other was a vent on this grain bin. It's basically a vent, single sheet, vent, two sheets, vent. So there are more vents on this bin. It's just not every other sheet like I kind of thought it was, just in the top of my head. But that's because there's going to be two fans on this bin, so it needs more circulation to get the airflow through. And here you can see them putting the ridge cap onto the top of it, which is pretty much going to end up wrapping up day one. Well, we missed the rains last night, and these guys have been after it this morning. I had some appointments this morning I had to go to, so we missed the first couple of rings going up in the air, but it sounds like they've been after it. They've got one section of stairs on there, so the sections of stairs are sitting there on the platform. They're already assembled or on this pallet, and basically they will be, what you guys will be seeing is they jack the bin up, put a ring in, and about every 2 sheets or so they'll put a stiffener, which are these guys right there, onto it, and then the stairs will come looping down through. So we're back here to film the progress today, and we'll just see the bin start to grow slowly. Here you can see the echo. Well, that's here the echo, but you can't see the echo. But you can kind of see there's the manifold and the hydraulic pump that runs to each one of these jacks by the hydraulic lines. And then the tower, it's done. They've brought that scaffold down. Spreaders up there that all of the jacks lift up evenly at the same time, keeping the bin from like tilting or doing anything weird like that. The jacks are actually bolted down to the floor, which is good because we've had wind risk the last couple of nights, which we haven't gotten the wind, thankfully. But that kind of shows you how on the inside, and I'll get some footage of it going up in the air here.
I was raised on a plane somewhere.
Lifts and stages, I believe. So they're now going around all the jacks that come back down, and then they'll go up another stage. Off the top of my head, I think that's how that works.
And my daddy pumped wells just outside of Dover.
Now they pin it again, make the next stage go up again. It's kind of like a telescoping tank. The rams must not be that long on those jacks. I don't know if there's different styles of jacks or anything like that. I don't know that, but see, it's going to come back down just a little bit, and they'll probably move a pin, and then they'll be able to, because it's lowering the cylinder down, and then they'll pin it and it'll lift up again.
Busy hands keep a man sober. I still remember what my papa used to say.
Right now they're also installing the weather stripping that goes in between each panel. It's like a little tar type of thing, so that each one of the panels is actually sealed in between each other. There you can kind of see how it's pushed out of there. Very similar to like a putty or caulking type of thing. These are the sheets, but as the rings go up, the sheets get thicker. It's just a thick sheet in between them. These three sheets that are up top, they're thinner. They're all the same thickness. This sheet right here, so sheet number 4, is a little bit thicker, and then the rest of the sheets will be the same. So the last 3 sheets down are the same thickness, and then there's that really thick one on there. That one's for the door. That's what I was told. So that's why there's the thick one on there. Kind of getting used to the music, but the 5th ring is now done, and we have experienced another little shower here, but it doesn't look like it's going to hang around for very long. So they've got to pull down the jack, which they're working on. That's the clanging going on. As you can see, those bolts are not the same one, so the jack's right here, and they got to lower it down, put it into these holes right there that are missing, so the next ring can go up. This is kind of now the rinse and repeat stuff, so I'll kind of show you when the door stuff starts to go on. If they get to that tonight, we're getting close to probably quitting time, or as this crew has said, hora de la cerveza. The last ring is going up. We'll have a green bin up in the air here in about an hour. 2 last stair sections to go. Now we can actually kind of, instead of just guessing where the stairs are going to end up, have a good clue. So one section goes to one roof, so we'll end up right here. That's right where we want to be. They also have the door in. Last ring goes up. You can see that there's holes here. That's for the fan floor. I've also been saying I need to weld up some, or GSI, here you go. Start selling these as a bin package too, like another step that you could tap on into the foundation so that you can get up and have another step in the foundation. Man, I need to weld me up a couple of those. Nearly that fast when I did it last time. Those are the final stiffeners, and there's like footers on it, which we'll go look at, but I had to run over and go get the guys lunch. I was making them lunch. It's your friendly reminder to make your blue collar crews lunch if they're on your property doing some work. So we got some chicken legs, small jalapeno poppers, some mac salad that I slaved over, and tortilla chips that I fried up earlier. But just kidding. But feed your crews, friendly reminder. The one thing that might just be slightly off is we have the unload marked for here, and it's like realistically it really kind of to be straight out would be here. So I think we're gonna move it to this hole right here, because it can't come out where these bolts are. So I either got to be here, over there, which pushes it a little bit further away from the door, but it's not drastic. I don't think. Hopefully that's something I don't regret later in life. Theoretically, in the future, what I could end up doing is putting a drag to tie 3 bins together. I don't know if that ever happened, honestly. This video up here kind of laid out how this grain facility would shape up into the future, which would be bringing the loop entrance, which is over there, bringing another road out, bringing the road up and around, basically kind of about where I'm standing right here, and then having a nice loop to go back through that area right there. I always thought those were handles, not needles. Needle, you know what I mean. There's the bolt, or I guess it's technically kind of all thread that holds the bin down. 20 inches or so. So this is something that's different because this grain bin has 2 fans. It actually has these dampers. That's what I'm calling them. I don't know if that's a technical deal, but you can see it's marked airflow, so that if one fan spools up, or if I just turn one fan on, it'll push the dampers down so it doesn't spin the motor backwards or spin the fan backwards. And then when airflow starts, it'll open up and let the air through. So there's one here and one there. That's something that we don't have in any other fans. This must be the epoxy that goes in to the bolt hole, and then they let it probably cure before running the nut down and anchoring it in. Most of the bolts have gone in pretty straight, but I think they've hit rebar on a couple of them. Not a big issue. You see they're not quite straight because it must be going like down and then hits a rebar and has to change angles. Someone asked on the last video about how much the grain's gonna weigh when it's in this bin. This is a 32,000 bushel bin. A bushel of corn weighs 50,000 pounds, or not 50,000 pounds, 56 pounds times 56. Be like 1.7, 1.8 million pounds. But typically you don't see 56-pound test weight corn. Usually it's a little bit higher than that, which is a really good question for why people will think, like, what does test weight matter? Well, for quick math in this grain bin right there, 56-pound test weight weighs this much, and 60-pound test weight weighs 1.9. So basically, let me put my calculator on the screen here. There can be 128,000 more pounds in this grain bin with heavier test weight corn. 128,000 in between 56 and 60-pound test weight corn. Divide that by 56 because you sell it by the weight, not by the volume size, and a bushel is a volume size. There can be about 2,200 more bushels in this grain bin with heavier test weight corn. So 1.8 million pounds will be in this grain bin. I just asked about the angle and he said, yeah, there's rebar right underneath that hole. Luck of the draw. Now that they're getting anchored, they can start taking the jacks down because the jacks have been the anchor for the grain bin. So jacks will get done. They've already been sweeping up and cleaning in here. It'll get cleaned up. And my guess is the floor will go in tomorrow. Floor, the unload, the fan, everything along those lines. Laying out the floor. I'm guessing different lines are for different stagger marks, and the solid green line is for the unload. Unload auger is struggled in here. Took 6 guys. We only had 4 or 5. That's why we didn't get filmed. Something else that we mentioned earlier in the video here is that we have 2 fans going on. So these are 2 15 horsepower fans. The reason that I'm installing 2 15 horsepower fans is to have basically 1 horsepower per 1,000 bushels
of grain in the grain bin to give me enough airflow to really use a system like GrainView to naturally air dry corn. That's the target here.
Well, day number 4. They've been out here. They got me beat by about half an hour here today. And they got the second fan on. But we should be able to finish up today, I think. So the floor's pretty interesting how it kind of installs. It doesn't really use a lot of fasteners or anything like that. But the whole floor sits on these little stands right here that have holes in the middle of them. And they're called grandstands. So these are 12-inch grandstands that they're going to be standing on. That sounds really smart, like I knew that, but I also just read that tag. And then the floor itself snaps into it. So the technique that these guys use is they bring in sections of floor and then they start grandstanding it versus kind of doing one at a time, if that makes sense. So they've made it to about halfway where the sump is at. Heard of a barn dance before? That's the bin dance. B-I-N, not B-E-N. My dancing source. It doesn't look like there's anything different other than the other one that I've put up 3 years ago. This looks the same. Sweeping gauge looks the same. Yeah. It'll be interesting in 5-10 years if I'm happy with just going with a straight out unload. It's cheaper right now and they're a lot simpler too. Keep it simple, stupid type of thing might be a play. And like I said, doing this to possibly have a drag that comes across and catches all these in the future. But heck, an 8-inch unload to a 10-inch truck auger or something like that. But I will be able to load trucks pretty quickly. I don't know. We'll find out. 5 years, we'll report back. These just get cut and then laid in. Versus that one, they had to go underneath it for the unload. But that's how those go in there. Since we're looking at the flooring, something that I go with is the whole flooring. So like I think they call that the punch floor versus some of the older bins. They're kind of like knife slits or little lines in the floor. I find that when it comes time to actually sweep and clean up the grain bin, that these punch floors are much nicer to work with over those small split ones. And I honestly bet these punch floors let less debris possibly get underneath the floor as well. 100% guess there. No statistical data backing that up. Unless GSI wants to comment and let me know if I was right or wrong about that. Here comes the sweep. And the last step, putting the 3 part door on there. I'm not gonna go close them up. It's done. So there it is. It won't be for too long until we get to fill it up. Storage is gonna be a big help coming this harvest. So hopefully you enjoyed that video. It was fun working with this crew. They travel all over, kind of putting them up, it sounds like, and we enjoyed it. 3 days of soggy, wet weather, followed up by 78% humidity and 90 degrees. So yeah, more GSI videos to come. Information in the description about GSI electrical. It's up next. See you guys.